You are now listening to the Where's the Line podcast with Joseph West and Britt Dillard. Enjoy the show.
Milton gonna take a shot wide open and just strutting in is Keaton. Joe Milton does it again.
Borgie again on a blitz. Levis pocket collapses. He's on the run. He just heaves it up. And it's intercepted by Vanderbilt. And let the celebration begin. The streak is over at 26. The Commodores win it.
Talk about Vanderbilt football. All I gotta say, and you're going to hell. Bye.
Another edition of Where's the Line? It is Wednesday, October 16th. This is episode number 141. My name is Britt Dillard, joined here by Joseph West. How are you today, brother?
I am fantastic. Britt, how are you?
I'm doing good. Beautiful day.
Beautiful.
I got to see you earlier today, so that was cool.
Yep. Happy first week of marriage to Britt. Britt did get married this past Saturday. Shout out, Britt.
I did get married. You gonna respect that right there?
Shout out, Grace. Yep. Got that wedding ring on. Let's go.
That's right. Yeah. Happy Wednesday to all who celebrate.
We had a wedding last Saturday, and we watched football. And
yes, we did.
We had people freaking out at the wedding about the game, thinking UT might lose, but they didn't. UT did pull it out in Knoxville. Britt, what was the final score of that game? Why don't I have it?
I believe it was 24-17. Hold on, let me triple check. Maybe 23-17 without the extra point there. Florida missed a field goal in overtime, allowing Tennessee to win with a walk-off touchdown. But we can just go ahead and jump right into it if you would like to.
Of course, go ahead.
A lot of people complaining about this game. In my opinion, if Tennessee beats Florida, you just you have to be happy with that. I mean, it doesn't happen very often. I mean, it's just the third time in the last 20 years that Tennessee's beat Florida. So I think my math is right there. So you can't really complain much about it. But looking just at the game, Tennessee got shut out in the first half again, which before last week it hadn't really happened. I don't know if it had ever happened to Josh Heupel to get shut out in the first half. But you went into halftime 3-0. Your offense obviously couldn't have been great if you didn't score any points, but it honestly looked improved from the Arkansas game. You had a lot of holding penalties, turnovers. You had a fumble. Nico fumbled on the first drive. Nico threw a terrible interception going into the half. Just as bad of a turnover as you'll see. The Nico interception was just absolutely terrible. Second half, offense still sputtered, but you were able to score enough points to win the game. Dylan Sampson carried the team. Dylan Sampson is awesome. Has 15 touchdowns on the year. I think he's 4 away from breaking the all-time record at Tennessee. So you're halfway through the season. That's pretty dang impressive. Joseph, what are your opening thoughts about this game?
Opening thoughts, like Britt said, was going to call me. UT did get shut out in the first half for the second time, back-to-back weeks. I think the offense is definitely worrisome. I will say the first thing people want to do, and I mean, it's the easiest thing to do. A lot of times our cop-out, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been there, is blame the head coach, blame the quarterback. A lot of times you can get by having that lazy take and it be right. I mean, honestly, you just can, and that's unfair. But I don't really see that this game and the offense struggles have been on Josh Heupel completely. I mean, Nico had 2 overthrows when you go back and watch the game, at least 2. You could argue maybe a couple on another on here and there maybe, but 2 overthrows of open guys. Actually, Cole Kubelik broke it down on Reading React with Roman Harper and Britt sent it to me, and it was really good. But yeah, 2 overthrows. He threw a pig, like Britt said, that was pretty bad. That being Nico. Your receivers too had some drops. To me, like Squirrel White should be like a super frustrating player for Tennessee fans. He shows up every now and then, will drop a ball, will occasionally fall down. I think he's a super frustrating guy to try to watch play football. Just if I was a fan, he's like the guy that you're always like, oh, this guy's going to break out. This guy's going to have a big season, and he never does it. It's always the next year.
Yeah, Squirrel White's been bad this year. Saturday had a pretty good game.
Yeah,
Squirrel White had a pretty good game. Nico, like you said, a few overthrows. I would say I would give him 3. I think the throw, there's 2 for sure that were just touchdowns in the first half that you simply just have to make those throws. And last week, Nico was terrible, but I think most of that loss against Arkansas, Tennessee fans would put on coaching at the time looking at it. But after watching the game Saturday and hearing what Cole Kubelik said on Read and React, I'm not as worried about coaching. That there are still some scenarios where you seem too conservative. You seem to run the ball too much. And I think that's due to a lack of confidence in Nico, which is understandable, honestly, at this point, to not have supreme confidence in the guy because he just simply doesn't make every throw. He's just inconsistent down the field. But I think it's less of a scheme issue than it is an execution and in-game play calling issue. Because I think last week I may have kind of hinted at what you said 2 or 3 years ago when Tennessee just had guys wide open every game. You said, well, it's not always going to be this way. Like SEC defenses are going to figure out this offense. And I think to a certain extent that may be true, but I lean more towards you don't have supreme confidence in your quarterback and you've maybe become a little bit too reliant on your defense that's really good and you're not calling crazy plays anymore. So
yeah,
after this Florida game, I'm not as worried about the scheme. Like we said, Tennessee had guys open all night. Tennessee put together good drives that were either a holding call, set them back, or a sack. Nico took a lot of sacks Saturday, or just stupid turnovers. But overall, I thought Josh Heupel called a fairly good game on Saturday. And this Florida team's not good.
Yeah.
It's not a very good team.
Another thing gets too is just about the looks that you're getting. In 2022, was it the last year of Hendon? You got a lot of single high safety looks. You got a ton of looks like that, and the switch routes were too much. They didn't handle them. You just couldn't handle them well. This year, you're seeing a lot of over-the-top safeties. You're 2 over-the-top safeties, sorry. You just are. It's what's going to happen. You're obviously not going to see it every play. Tennessee actually got open on a switch route, and Nico just overthrew him. But, yeah, I mean, it's part of it all, kind of. It's defensive, how close the gap. Guys aren't 10 yards open anymore. They're 3 yards open now. You know, they're getting a little bit more used to it. It's a little bit of it all. Nico struggles. Heupel kind of trying to find a balance of his struggles. I think it's a little bit of everything. And I'll kind of transition this, Britt, if that's okay, into the Bama game as far as I'm so scared of this game betting-wise. I've had one person in particular ask me, who would you bet on in this game? And I said, I have no idea, because you look at it from one side and say, well, UT's offense has to click eventually, you would think. It has to click eventually. They have to hit on some of the mesh plays. He's got to throw the deep ball in the right spot eventually, right? And then on the other side, you say the same thing about Alabama's defense. They haven't put it together. They've been bad. At some point, they've got all the athletes. They've got to put it together, right? So I don't even – the game this weekend is so hard for me to kind of break down and predict.
Yeah, for sure. And a guy that I think you're familiar with, Joseph, Stats of War on Twitter.
Yes.
His computer model currently has it as win probability for Alabama to be 50.35%. And then obviously 49.65 in Tennessee's favor. So a lot of factors go into this game. I think the main factor being Tennessee's defense and the crowd in this game. Jalen Morrow just simply hasn't played a big game on the road at night, and this will be the most hostile environment he's playing in, and I think that shouldn't be overlooked. But Alabama's a really good team. I still believe. I think they have a lot to figure out, and they definitely are going to come in and be trying to fix all their mistakes. But ever since I came on here and talked about how good Alabama is, how good Jalen Monroe is, they've looked pretty bad. I've looked pretty dumb overall this football season on this podcast. Some of the things that I've said. So
It's okay, Britt. It happens to us. There's no doubt. Bama has definitely not looked like the same team. It will be interesting to see what you see this Saturday from them. Because like I said, I think it can be two extremes. UT's offense could click, and I think they could win by 3 touchdowns. And Bama's defense could click, and Milroe's legs could get going, and I think they could win by 3 touchdowns too. So honestly, I have no idea. The thing to watch, I think, in this game, like if I gave you a key to this UT game, number one key to the game is I still think Tennessee secondary is suspect. And if Jalen Milroe buys time and avoids the defensive line, I do not think the secondary is good enough to cover.
I'm going to
strongly
disagree with
that.
you.
That is a take that Britt will disagree with. But when UT's defensive line has not got consistent pressure, their secondary gets beat. It's only a few times a game, and that's not coincidence. That's because the line does not get pressure in these parts of the game or these plays of the game. You look at the line and you say, they got no pressure. They didn't get any pressure. That's why we got beat. But their line is so dominant, they're going to pressure you 70% of the game. And honestly, I say the line, and don't get me wrong, the other guys do their job, but you have to pay James Pierce so much attention that he elevates, obviously, everybody else.
Yeah, and a lot of props to Tim Banks for doing what he's needed to do the last few years, and that's just blitz, man. Just send pressure 80% of plays, and you're going to be mostly happy with the result. James Pierce, although on paper his impact hasn't seemed huge, he makes such a huge he just requires so much attention, and he's so I don't know, he's just so good. He's so awesome. And then you've got guys like Tyree West and Omar Norman Lott and David Hobbs and 6 or 7 other guys that just absolutely thrive off of that attention, and they're just really good players. Joshua Joseph's another guy that's really good. But one of my points, I wanted to talk about the secondary, specifically the corners. I think Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson, that's probably your best cornerback tandem since, well, it's realistically since Alontae Taylor and Bryce Thompson, but Gibson and McCoy back there have been really good. I want to give Will Brooks a lot of credit. He's all over the field. I think he's been really good at safety. Boo Carter was really good Saturday. Tennessee's defense is really good. They're currently second on NCAA.com in total defense. I know you haven't played the best offenses quite yet, but so far through 6 games, they've been awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find a stat really quick.
Yeah, but Keenan Pili went down. ACL tear Saturday, sucks for the guy. So his football career is pretty much all but over. You'll have Arion Carter step in his spot. Had a big interception Saturday, kind of changed the momentum of that game. After you scored a touchdown, then had an interception, and then was able to get 3 points off of it. So that was a big play. James Pierce, big fumble recovery on the 1-yard line, forced the fumble. Don't know how Graham Mertz did not get down on that play, but forced the fumble. And then Graham Mertz goes down with I guess he tore his ACL too, which sucks for them. But
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
I found the stat I was looking for. I wanted to make sure I was correct on this stat exactly. So Tennessee's passing defense last year in 2023, I wanted to give them credit as well, was 65th in the country as far as yards given up. But they had a 66% completion percentage given up, which was bottom 10 in college football. So that is not to say that Tennessee's secondary in particular has not taken a major step forward. It's just that when you go from, it's very similar to what I've said about Vanderbilt's defense, actually. Even though Vanderbilt's defense is 70 spots ahead of it was last year, it's still just average. There's still suspect spots. So that was more of my questioning about the secondary, not to say that they have not taken a step forward. I just wanted to be sure that was clear.
Yeah, and I feel more strongly about the cornerbacks have really taken a step. I just think they're simply better players there now. Also, Christian Charles had a good game. Who I thought that he left the team like 2 years ago. I didn't even know Christian Charles was still on the team until last week, which is insane to me. But yeah, that group has definitely improved, just the secondary as a whole. But I mean, they still could be sub top 35. I don't know the numbers there, but just from what we're used to, they're a lot better. Special teams, defense, or oh my gosh, Tennessee special teams. Tennessee tried to give this game away at the end. Florida had 2 huge punt returns of like 35 plus yards in the fourth quarter that probably should have been the nail in the coffin. And we were just punting the ball, like line drives, both of those times. And I'm like, this is why that happens. You don't have guys down there to make a play. But
yep,
Florida, they're just not a good team. They're not well coached. If you're Billy Napier, you have to go for 2.
Yeah, I thought Florida looked much better this week, especially defensively. Not to say they didn't give up. It should have been explosive plays, but they were more sound. They try to limit them. I like what they did defensively. I think Florida has more hope moving forward than some may think. I like Florida this weekend. I like Florida to win outright this weekend.
Yeah, maybe so. They play Kentucky this weekend.
They do. Yeah, underdogs at home.
But watching that game, I was like, they have to go for 2, which in my mind with Tennessee's D-line, I was fine with it. I liked our odds there, but if I was Florida, I'm like, you have to go for 2. I'm not going to overtime. But obviously we saw what happened.
Especially backup quarterback on the road, hostile environment. Everything says go for 2 there. I really don't get not doing it. I get that your defense had played really good and you wanted to lean on them, but they're tired. I mean, they've played 60 minutes. They're tired. I didn't like that at all. But
yeah, looking great win against Florida. You always take a win against Florida. You have to if you're Tennessee. I think you gained it's crazy to say. I think you gained a little bit more confidence in your offense, even though you only scored 23. Looking at Alabama, you have to execute better on offense. Nico has to hit almost every one of the throws he missed Saturday, in my opinion, to beat this Alabama team. You just have to be more consistent. Your receivers were a lot better Saturday, just getting open. I thought your protection was better. Now, most of the holding calls were when Nico had to roll out of the pocket, which I understand, but need to cut those out. But I think if you execute better, your defense continues to play well, and the crowd makes it hard on Jalen Milroe, I think Tennessee has a good shot to win Saturday, for sure.
And I'm for actually crapping on a guy by the name of Lance Hurd, who Tennessee fans know well. Maybe not necessarily happy that they know him well, but they know him. I'm all for crapping on him, but one of his holding calls that he got against
soft.
Well, I wasn't necessarily going to say it was soft, but it's on Nico. His pocket is clean. He cannot try to roll out and then step back into the pocket and then roll out. You're going to hold. Your defensive lineman keeps switching ways. He is going to hold him. UT fans were calling him out on Twitter saying, "What is he doing?" That's Nico's fault. That is Nico's fault.
I think Nico naturally wants to do that. I think he naturally wants to get out of the pocket. And then in the second half, I have it in my notes, I think they started doing that on purpose just to get more of like a half field read for Nico of him rolling out and just reading half the field. And then you didn't have hardly any holding calls in the second
Right.
half. So I think it was more of a plan thing. Like, hey, if you're going to roll out on a clean pocket, we might as well just have you roll out anyways on purpose.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good coaching. Take advantage of what your quarterback wants to do, and especially when it's a young guy like Nico who's needing to figure some things out. Just play to his strengths, which I thought Florida did a pretty good job of that with Lagway. Kind of the same deal there, but and then in overtime, Tennessee just decided, hey, Florida stinks. We're just gonna dominate them on both sides of the ball and win. So
Yeah. Florida, shout out, I guess, but you lost. Graham Mertz, sucks to see him done for the year. I mean, you
such a
obviously-
dumb way to lose your quarterback too. Just
yeah,
a
it just
random.
sucks. We'll see what Lagway has in store for Florida, but nonetheless, UT win. They play Bama this weekend, as we were just talking about. Britt, do you want to take a stab at that Bama prediction?
I think it'll be a low scoring game. Give me Tennessee to win 28-23.
28-23. I could see that. Yeah, I don't really know which way this game goes. I think it's going to be a relatively close game, or one team could click and it could just be. I mean, I think this game could really go anywhere. I'm not 100% sure what to think. 55% of the money's on Bama and on DraftKings, 45% on Tennessee. So the bettors seem to be divided there. The line's up to Tennessee +3 right now. If I had to pick somebody, I'll take the home team, I guess. I mean, that's really the only thing I can lean on. I'll take Tennessee in a close one. Give me 28-27 UT.
Okay.
There's that.
I'm nervous for some reason doing this podcast. I don't know if you can tell. I'm kind of nervous for some reason. Maybe because of screw you, Tom Petty. First of all, listen. I tried to be cute. Okay, Joseph's gonna play the Gators song. Great song. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll edit it and I'll play. I'll let Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers just take us out. No. Strike. Tom Petty said no. Tom Petty said, I'm greedy. I don't have enough money. This little podcast, it was running no ads at the time. They can't play my song. So screw you, Tom Petty. Glad we beat your stupid little team there. Nice song. Enjoy it. But yeah. That just made me so mad.
That's why you're nervous?
That just made me so mad.
Are you nervous because you think Tom Petty's listening, or why are we nervous?
I'm just shook, I think. But
okay, got you.
But I think we're good.
I thought Britt may have been nervous because the Doors got hot. The Doors did take Kentucky this past weekend, beat Kentucky on the road 20-13. You won the game the complete opposite way of the way that you wanted at Bama. You decided to lean on the defense, let them do enough. This game was sloppy. It was one of those where you don't score a lot of points. Possessions are at a premium. Both teams are going to try to hold the ball, run the football. It was a 34-minute time possession game for Vandy, 25 for Kentucky. Kentucky actually had more total yards, 322 to 288. I mean, I think what this game showed you is that Vanderbilt can do it. Whichever way you want to let Vanderbilt win the game, they're going to go win it. I think that's what they've proved to me now. They've won it two different ways. They've leaned a little bit on the defense. They've leaned on the offense, score 40 on Bama, come back, just score 20 on Kentucky, and you still win. Won the turnover battle again, played smart. Kentucky had 12 penalties. You had 5. Kentucky played sloppy. You took advantage of their mistakes. They had a bad snap, throw. You got a pick in the red zone. Big stop by the defense, too. I mean, I think when you look at this, obviously when you look at the stats, I mean, Diego Pavia, 15 of 18, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He threw his first interception. Really great play by Kentucky's linebacker, kind of hiding, jumps up, picks it. Great play there. He had to make a mistake eventually. None of these stats are going to jump off the page at you, but everybody's doing their job. I mean, you're winning the football game. You're doing what you have to do in order to come home with a dub. So Biggest home game in Vanderbilt history coming up in 2 weeks. I mean, that's really where I'm at right now. I mean, I know Ball State's first, and we will handle them accordingly. I'll get into that in just a second, but that's kind of my opening statement is, wow, what a position Vanderbilt football has put themselves in right now.
Yeah, and there is no team that I find more joy in losing, or that I laugh more at losing than Kentucky. I don't know why that is, but it's just so funny to me that Kentucky. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It doesn't matter how good they are or how good their opponent is. They just find ways to lose games. And Vanderbilt took advantage of turnovers. Diego Pavia is just a pesky player if you're a defensive guy lined up against him. And he just has a second gear that he is just fast. He's tough and he's smart, and he's running this Vanderbilt offense about as well as anyone could right now.
Yes, I agree. You cannot ask for your quarterback to do more. Did kind of get his knee banged up, said he's feeling good, practiced both days, hasn't been limited on mobility. So we'll see him versus Ball State this next weekend. Britt, a lot of people, I mean, especially local radio podcast hit around it all week. Oh, Diego Pavia's dropped a podcast. Oh, this, oh, that. Vanderbilt can handle this media. It's going to be a letdown game. Vanderbilt's 14.5-point underdogs. How much did this game, Britt, just for you, as far as, because I may put you in this box, you may not put yourself in the box, but a lot of people have the same old Vandy mentality. I've talked about it on this podcast. I even said same old Vandy after we lost to Georgia State. That's the only words I could really get out was same old Vandy. I think for Vanderbilt fans, this molded and said, okay, you beat number one Bama, you bounce back, got to win on the road in the SEC. You're coming home. You're going to host Ball State and then the number one team in the country. This Vanderbilt team really is different. How has it shifted your opinion, if it has, after this Kentucky game?
Well, it's turned the Vanderbilt game from a Tennessee fan standpoint. It's not an automatic win anymore. Where the last 3 years, I would say, going into it is an automatic win. That is just not the case anymore. I mean, you're going to have to find a way to stop Diego Pavia, and if you don't, then you might lose. I mean, it's that simple. But watching Vandy, they have players, and maybe it's not the players, maybe it's more just the way that they're playing football that I've not seen Vanderbilt have. Like that Newberry guy. Is he a running back?
Yes, AJ Newberry.
He doesn't look like a Vanderbilt football player. And I don't mean I hope you know what I mean by that. He's just tough. He's getting yards after contact. He's just plowing people over. He's fast. Like, he's not a guy that you look at and say that is a stereotypical Vanderbilt player.
Yeah. Cedric, I would say the same. I actually think the best player, he actually got player of the week from within Vanderbilt, Cedric Alexander. On run plays, he's blowing linebackers up in the hole. He's meeting you in pass pro. He's running over you, dragging you to first downs. He did that against Bama, just dragged 2 defenders into the end zone. He's running hard. This team has something that when you watch other games in the country, you don't see at all. This team is playing every snap together. They just want it more than the player across from them. They're giving it all they've got. I mean, truly, you don't see that a lot. I think that goes a long way, and you're gonna have to really play well, I think, to beat this team. If Vanderbilt's at their best, you've got to bring your best in order to beat this team. I truly believe that. I think it's going to be interesting. The next 2 weeks are going to be super interesting for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and to kind of not defend the people that were saying same old Vandy, because I don't think I was in that category. I was saying that, hey, if we play like we did tonight, that was the night of the Arkansas game, Vanderbilt will beat us. But it's a one-off win at the time, beating Alabama. Now, you did it dominantly. You just kind of big boyed them. I could understand how if you're a true hater saying, well, this is just a one-off. But, I mean, after you go on the road as 3-score dogs and kind of dominate Kentucky, there's not much you can say. You've got to at least give a little bit of credit to Vanderbilt.
Looking back, and I just want to get this in there, not because I mean it. Don't text me and be like, you would roast Britt for saying that. I would. I'm not serious, but it's total SEC vibes to take away the East when Vanderbilt would be sitting first right now, tied with actually Tennessee pending this weekend.
Yeah.
Our common opponent Alabama would separate just like it's separating Georgia for being second right now, but. It would be something to be able to sit here and say Vanderbilt's first in the East, at least tied for first. And if Tennessee loses this weekend and Vanderbilt wins, then at least for a weekend you'd be able to say Vanderbilt's first in the East. But in late in the season too, it's not like you're saying that in week 2. You're saying it
in an SEC East that is as weak as it's ever been. If the SEC East existed this year,
sure.
Think about South Carolina. Kentucky, Missouri has proven now. If Vanderbilt played Missouri next week, I think you may see something different, even though Vanderbilt almost beat them anyways. Georgia's not the team that they've been the last few years. Now, Carson Beck has looked really good the last 2 weeks. He's looked really good. But in the SEC, it's as open as it was in 2015 and 2016.
Yes.
I agree. That is kind of fitting.
SEC is wide open. And not to overlook, I talked about Texas, not to overlook Ball State this weekend. Vanderbilt lost to a team, not that's as bad as Ball State, but a similar team to Ball State. I mean, Georgia State is not good. You look back, you can try to defend that loss. You can try to say whatever you want to about that loss. That loss is just purely unacceptable. That team's not good. Georgia State's not good. They suck. They actually really suck. And you lost to them. So not to overlook Ball State at all. Ball State's going to come in here and try to sling the football around. Obviously, that's kind of what Vanderbilt struggled with. I mean, the one loss that they really have that you're like, what happened? There's Georgia State, and Georgia State threw the football a lot. And they threw it pretty much at will the last drive of the game to win. So you want to see improvement there. You want to see them stop the pass. You want to see them line up, get pressure, dial some blitzes up, make them uncomfortable. You want to see a big win. The spread's 26.5. Go in there and dominate. Don't act like it's Ball State. Kirby, a lot of coaches be like, oh, our opponents are nameless and faceless. I think Heupel may have even said that after Kent State. Stupid. Yeah. But go in there and act like it. Like, act like it's Texas. Dominate from start to finish and blow them out. Blow them out from start to finish. I want to see Nate Johnson in the second half. Diego Pavia, let's let him get some rest. You've got potentially the biggest game in Vanderbilt history coming up the week after. If you take care of business this week, and we'll see what we can make happen the following Saturday. See if we got any magic left in Nashville or not. But that's what you got to say. We got to go take care of business, boys, because if we do, the horizon could be beautiful. But none of it matters if we don't get through this week. Let's go blow them out. Vanderbilt 42, Ball State 10.
Okay.
My prediction.
Yeah, it is crazy to think Vanderbilt is just a handful of plays away from being undefeated.
I mean, you can argue. And you could say the same thing in throwing the Virginia Tech game for the other way around. But flip a field goal around in the Missouri game, and then in the Virginia Tech game too, we could have made a field goal 10, not even going overtime. But flip 2 field goals around and flip 1 pass around in the Georgia State game, 3 plays, you're 6-0. Like, flip a couple plays around, you're 6-0. And that's why we play the game. You can lose to anybody, no doubt. So go out there, take care of business, and let's get to 5-2, baby. Let's get to 5-2.
Okay. What about the holder for Kentucky Saturday?
Yeah, I'm glad he sucks.
He had a pretty bad night, didn't he?
The first one was a bad snap. I believe it bounced. One of the ones was a bad snap. The other one, he fumbled.
I laughed so hard at both of those.
Yeah, no idea what he was doing, but thank God, don't care. Made it easier for us to win. So appreciate that.
Another takeaway I had from Kentucky specifically is Barrion Brown is so good.
Yeah.
Honestly, both of Kentucky's receivers, Brown and Key, are both really. They could be really, really good. Yeah.
I hope Brown and Key both enjoy holding that L. Because, I mean, they got to play. 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 They did in Vanderbilt's little mini movie that they made after the Kentucky game. In pregame, they said, y'all sorry as hell, and then proceeded to lose the game. So congrats to both of them. They both suck, and Kentucky sucks. So congrats to them. All their fans, by the way, are weird. The argument was weird of why they lost the game. And then they try to act like they are bigger than losing to Vandy. We're in the same league, buddy. Stop talking crazy. So yeah, hate them, but whatever. Kentucky, you suck. Hold the L. Doors on top.
Looking at gambling.
Yes. Last week, if you got in with me, if you're not friends with me on Snapchat, first of all, you're missing a menace most days. But second of all, if you're not with me on Snapchat, you didn't get in the winnings of this week. You did not get in the winnings, and that's sad because this weekend I was just laughing to the bank. Okay, that's my new theme song. I was laughing to the bank. It's simple. We're running it back this week. On the podcast last week, I did only go 75%. Okay, on the podcast last week, kind of struggled. All right, but this week we're bouncing back. It's really simple.
I don't know what I did last week because I didn't actually bet the money because I took it out because I got married and I needed the money. So just a disclaimer for this week. My heart is behind these. My money is not.
Oh, okay. So no real picks here from Britt. It's kind of sad.
But also this week, kind of a tough week to come up with 5 picks. I've only got 3 here because I didn't want to just make some up.
Agree. Tough
also,
week with 5 picks.
Dylan Sampson, freak of the week. I didn't mention that. Dylan Sampson is the freak of the week for the Tennessee win. But anyways, Joseph, what you got? What you got for us?
All right, first game, Rutgers and UCLA. UCLA coming to Rutgers. It's like a 5.5, 6 point game right now. Give me Rutgers money line. Don't mess around with the points. Go Rutgers money line. Simple.
Big 10 matchup.
Really simple. Rutgers is better. Better coach, better team. They're at home. Love it. Next game. Apparently, everybody and their mom disagrees with me about this. I don't know how. They have been a turnover machine. Auburn goes to Missouri on Saturday. I know it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. Energy might be lacking, but Auburn's just turned the football too much for me to ever bet on them. Give him Missouri money line. I don't see Auburn winning this game. Next game, LSU coming off a big win. It's going to travel to Arkansas. Arkansas coming off a big win from UT off the bye week. Give me Arkansas. Taylor Green coming back. LSU's not good. They're not well coached. They have literally gotten lucky. They've been playing at home when they've won. I do not believe in LSU. I think they're a very beatable team. Give me Arkansas. Next game of the week, Georgia and Texas. If you told me that you were going to put a gun in my head this week and I'd have picked one game to win, I'd bet this game. Give me Texas money line. I believe Texas is a much better team. I believe they're by far the best team in the country. They're big up front. Ewers has only been sacked one time, I think, all year. And Arch got sacked twice in the Mississippi State game, and you can argue one of those was his fault. Their offensive line is legit. Their defense flies all around the place. Georgia has not looked good. I bet against Kirby Smart, or I usually don't bet against Kirby Smart, but I'm doing it today. Texas money line. Last game, Vanderbilt minus 25.5 against Ball State. We should blow them out. But that is a heart pick, just to give you a heads up. That is a heart pick. But I have a good amount of money on it. I won you a lot of money if you sprinkled Vanderbilt money line last week, so you should have some extra bet with me again. $10 wins 115 plus 150 plus 1050 there. So little money in the pocket. You know what it is.
Okay. I like the under in the Vandy game. 58.5 on DraftKings. That just seems kind of high. Under 58.5. I like Indiana money line at home against Nebraska. Indiana's good.
I like that. Their
Indiana's
coach,
not a bad team.
Their coach, all he does is win. Google him. Like that.
Signetti.
That dude's crazy.
He's a winner. And then my last, I've also got Texas money line. I had Georgia in the points. I don't really hate Georgia +5, honestly. But I do think Texas wins. So let's just do Texas money line. That's all I got. 3-pick parlay plus 413 there.
Yep. Go Doors. It's all about you this weekend. Go win big. We're going to come back on this podcast, hopefully talk about College Game Day coming to Nashville, how I'm spending the night in the yard waiting for Pat McAfee. I'm probably kicking the field goal. I'll let y'all know for sure. But we need game day in Nashville. Win big this week, Doors. Let's go, anchor down.
Go Vols. Beat Bama.
Sorry,
Goodbye.
Grace.
I'm not sorry. Go Vols.